I sincerely doubt if there's anyone today in America making a more compelling economic argument for early childhood investment than our guest today. Please join me in a warm round of applause and appreciation for Robert H. Duggar. Thank you, Doug, for that very, very generous, cordial introduction. And congratulations to all of you at Consumers Energy. David, I want one of those stars. Links. I think we should have one of those stars for every one of us who does this work. This Kids First, invest in kids' work. It's kind of like a national thing. It just flashes and everyone knows that's what we're about. I want to thank, obviously, the good people at the Early Childhood Investment Corporation. Doug, thank you for the introduction, of course. Judy, thank you for your remarkable leadership. Thank you for inviting me. Sally Vaughn has had to leave. She's got public service duties, so she is emceeing another entire luncheon. I thank her and all the members of the Early Childhood Investment Corporation Board. What you're doing is enormously important work. I'm going to talk today about three things. Actually, everything I have to say should be rightfully, simply replaced. We should watch the video again, and then watch it again until everything that everyone who spoke in that video, including the little girl, is like drilled into the very deepest part of our brain. Because nothing that I will say will be better or clearer than what was said in that video. And you, Judy, may not yet be fully satisfied with the production values and so forth, but I think that video was terrific. I think it's clear, and I believe it makes the case that for the business community, there are three dimensions to what we do. We have to be concerned about profitability, we have to be concerned about productivity, and we have to be concerned about progress. We do this for our company, our community, and our country. This last dimension of the triple bottom line of any good business is the frontier. It's actually been known by all the great American business leaders, but it's something that is now having to be relearned in the American business community. I am a recovering hedge fund partner. Yep, it's true. I've been in recovery for about 1.5 years. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I retired 1.5 years ago as a partner. I've been a partner for 16 years at Tudor Investment Corporation. Tudor is one of the big global speculative companies. We trade 24/7 in every commodity, currency, bond, and stock market in the world. My job at Tudor took me all over the world. I talked and learned from legislators and central bankers and finance ministers in every major capital that you can think of. I can say thank you in 15 languages. What I learned in all of that travel was that something important was happening in the United States. Somewhere in the late 80s, 90s, something very important happened. We reached a point of non-competitiveness. We could only grow by increasing debt. We were importing, but we weren't selling enough. Our economy had become non-competitive. In the early, about 2002, 2003, I had been involved in discussions with a lot of people in the United States about what is it that the United States could do to recover competitiveness. We talked about health, we talked about energy, we talked about information technology, we talked about education, we talked about science generally. And as we talked, it all came down to what did the rest of the world do to become so competitive? What had we lost? And it was human capital. Tom Tuning, a name none of you know, Tom Tuning is a former CFO of Dominion Power. He's chairman of the Virginia Early Learning Foundation. Tom, Dominion Power, Dominion Resources, is deeply concerned about youth human capital. And they're concerned because of the following fact. In 2008, the Defense Department did the only national study of the quality of young adult human capital in the United States. And the results confirmed to those of us who had been observing the competitiveness problem from other perspectives that the problem had been building for decades. They found that of 17 to 24-year-olds, you all know these numbers, that 75%, more than 75% of 17 to 24-year-old Americans, men and women, are not qualified to be a United States Army private. What the human resource officers, the CHROs of major companies know is that while they don't have military standards for fitness, they do have military standards for high school educations, no criminal record, and no drug dependencies. Nobody at Consumers Energy can hire someone who's likely to take some of the equipment and sell it to support their drug addiction. No one at Consumers Energy or Dominion Power or any of the other major technologically advanced companies in this country on whom our competitiveness actually depends can hire someone whose interpersonal skills are so incapacitated that they resort to crime in order to function. The economy is like a jet plane sitting on a runway. To get off that runway, it's got to combine all the hard materials, the aluminum and steel and plastic and everything that's in it, together with all the technology that puts all those pieces together in the right way. To get off the ground, those tanks have to be filled with human capital power. That's the only way that jet plane gets off the runway and gets, when we talk about our economy, gets us back above the clouds, above the storm clouds, globally competitive, successfully, workforce quality, solving our fiscal sustainability problems, and our economy back on a sound footing. Do we have the gas in the tanks? The DoD study, as I cited before, said no. Does Michigan have the gas in the tanks? No. Here are your numbers. You've got 1.1 million young adults, 17 to 24 years old. 850,000 of them can't qualify to be a United States Army private. And if it's true, what the HR people tell me at advanced companies like Verizon and companies like that they can't hire 60% of the young adults 17 to 24 years old. If that's true, then in Michigan, of the 1.1 million young adults in that age group, 650,000 can't bring you to competitiveness. They lack high school degrees, they lack basic ability to function in the society without resorting to crime. They have drug dependencies. they can't be good employees. Now, many of the businesses in this room will say, well, I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to hire them. That's true. I have a business. I am a recovering hedge fund partner, but I'm not a recovering businessman. I immediately opened up a business of my own. It's Hanover Investment Group. It advises offshore investors who are investing in U.S. assets. Our specialization is advising people on how to manage assets through fiscal crises. Thought I'd pick a target-rich environment for my business. I'm a member of the Alexandria Chamber of Commerce. I'm chairman of the Alexandria-Arlington Business Leadership Council of our Smart Beginnings program. So in many respects, in Virginia, I sit at the Alexandria-Arlington table of a meeting like this. I'm a businessman. I don't have to hire those ones who can't qualify. But in Virginia, as is here, the fact is, they're out there. They're in your communities, and they cost you billions. And they're still coming. The earliest of the kids who were covered in the 2008 Defense Department study were born in 1980, 84, 85. The youngest is, the oldest was born in 1991 or 92. Since then, 1992 to 2000, there's another 650,000. Between 2000 and 2008, there's another 650,000. So right at the moment, you have on stream 1.9 million young adults in that category who can't be good employees. That's 20% of the population of Michigan. This is a huge, huge human capital deficit. And if Michigan is to recover economically, that deficit has to be solved. Now, don't feel like you are some sort of special case. The numbers I just gave you changed the proportions a little bit. They're true for Virginia, and they're true for 48 other states in the United States. We have a lot of work to do, and the question is, what do we do? Here's what we do. Everyone in this room who is a business person who runs a business knows the phrase Six Sigma. Six Sigma is a term, a manufacturing term from years ago. It means that if you're delivering, I'll use a jet plane again, if you're delivering a jet plane to a customer and it turns out there's something wrong with the wing, one of the wings is a little tilted down, when do you fix that problem? Do you fix that problem in the paint shop before you deliver the plane? Or do you fix that problem in the engineering lab when you design the plane? Six Sigma says every part of a complex process is dependent on the part that preceded it, the stage that preceded it. And if you've got a problem, generally fix it as early as possible, because the longer you wait, the more expensive it costs, the more costly it becomes to fix it. This is what we know about early childhood. Prenatal to 5 is a complex, path-dependent development process in which the most important years are prenatal to 5, birth to 5. We know that, as the movie pointed out, 70–80% of brain development occurs before age 5. And what really stuns me is this. When you look at a 3-year-old, you're looking at a little human being whose brain is forming synaptic junctions between neurons at a rate of 700 a second. In the time it took me to tell you that, a 3-year-old formed 3,500 synaptic junctions that are shaping its personality and its intelligence for a lifetime. You don't get those synaptic junctions right, you don't ever fix them. Core reason why kids can't read at third grade is because they can't sit still and trust and listen. Those kids consistently who don't read are looking at the door. They're not sure what's happening around them. They're not sure somebody's going to hit them. They're not sure somebody's going to bash into the room, creating a lot of chaos like their drunken father did. Those kids are fearful, perhaps abused or neglected. Those synaptic junctions that were laid down make those kids unable to trust and relax and receive information. That's why to solve the reading problem, you have to start prenatal to 5. Okay, one of my duties is to keep you on time. And what I'm going to do here is quickly check. Yep, we're going to wrap this up. Recap. I've talked to you about the triple bottom line of any company. Your company's, my company, profitability, productivity, and progress. All three of them involve what we do for company, community, and our country. Now this last one, progress and our community and our country, a lot of people think of it as sort of like public relations or marketing. It's not. It's much more than that. It's about creating the kind of country that we want to live in. It's about creating the kind of country in which my company and your companies are going to be profitable. I'm a great fan of Jim Rohr. Jim Rohr is Chairman and CEO of PNC. I speak all over the country. This is maybe the 20th speech I've given in the last year, and the speech you're hearing me give right now is one I give over and over and over again. Whenever I'm in PNC territory, a PNC guy is there, or gal. I don't know what it is about the chemistry of that company, but they take very, very seriously this community and country responsibility. And it's pretty clear that you guys do too. And for that, and I hope all the rest of the people in Michigan are grateful for your leadership. We've talked about Michigan's young adult human capital problem. We've talked about how human capital is a beginning to end process. And to get it right, you have to start early. Question. Is the human capital sector big enough to make a difference? You guys live in Michigan, you know the automobile sector is a pretty important sector, economic sector. It's about 1.5% of GDP. Big. Do any of you know what when you think about economic sectors, you think about banking, you think about agriculture, you think about energy, you think about autos. Do any of you think of the youth human capital sector as an economic sector that is the business of taking something that is from birth to age 18 is a production process. It is itself an economic sector of the United States. How big is it? Autos is 1.5%. Anyone want to guess what prenatal to 5 is? Bigger? Let's see, show of hands. You think it's bigger than the auto sector or smaller than the auto sector? Okay, everyone thinks it's smaller. Raise your hand. There you go. Yes, it is bigger. It's twice the size of the auto sector. It's 3.5% of GDP. The total financial sector of the United States, all the banks, PNC, all the others, all the hedge funds, all the mortgage banking people, all the investment bankers, everybody, stocks, bonds, everything. 7.5% of GDP. Big. When it got into trouble a few years ago, $800 billion, no questions asked. How big is prenatal to age 18? Anybody want to guess? 10.5%. It is so damn big that if you wanted to stand up an economy, you can almost do it alone by investing in youth human capital. We know the economic returns are high. We know the sector is big. How do we do it? Well, for you guys in Michigan, you are like the beginning and end of this whole discussion. You were Perry Preschool, and you are Tim Bartik's book that is coming out in January. Now, none of you are aware of Tim Bartik's book. Tim Bartik is coming out with a book. All of you know who Tim is. Over there in Kalamazoo, Michigan, one of the country's leading experts on state and local economic development. He's written a book which takes all the microeconomic and all the macroeconomic findings, roll them in to a thoroughly detailed discussion on how investing in kids prenatal to 5 has economic growth, per capita income advantages over all the other economic development strategies that we use. That in many respects, they're superior to tax abatements, job training, specialized economic programs that states have used for years. So we've got high economic returns, the youth human capital sector is big, and now Tim is going to deliver to you folks the Bible on how to use early child development education investment to get an economy back on its feet and keep it there. I'm sending 100 copies to PNC to spread all over the place, but they will start using it everywhere that PNC operates. And I'll send a bunch to you guys too. Now, to wrap this up, what can you do? What can you do? You can recognize right now that you are Michigan's hope. There is no other. If the Michigan jet plane is going to get off the runway, it's going to get off the runway one way, and that's with high-powered human capital. Right now, from this day, you change the spirit of this state. This state goes from whatever kind of confused, frightened, shapeless, downtrodden, troubled economic condition that it's in, into one that recognizes, everything that is wrong here. That means pretty much, if we've got any sense at all, whatever we do from here makes it better. You've got a new government. You've got a new state legislature. We have a completely wide open political situation in Washington, which is absolutely great for us. We hammer them, every one of them, on the idea that the only thing that will enable the U.S. and Michigan and Virginia to recover is to focus on the life success of every kid. We simply cannot afford to have another 650,000 Michigan young adults who ultimately are not going to be able to be hired by Consumers Energy. That tragic, sad circumstance ends today. Now, for the business guys in the room, there are a variety of early childhood finance techniques that are being developed. I had a very promising discussion last night with Phil Fisher, who's a board member of the Early Childhood Investment Corporation. We are involved in a nationwide process to develop income contingent and performance contingent financing for early child development. What's so exciting about this is, through a kind of donor-advised fund or something that PNC is going to set up for us, we're going to be able to direct philanthropic and private investment into early child programs, and to multiply year after year after year after year the benefits that came from the Perry program decades ago. You have to know everything. I love this. This thing has everything you need to know. Just read it and memorize it. Write letters. Call and leave phone messages. Send emails. Talk to people. Buttonhole people. Because if the business leadership of Michigan wants prenatal to 5, wants a truly competitive workforce, wants to get this economy back on its feet and keep it there, if the business leadership of this state wants it, it will happen. And so everyone in this room goes and multiplies yourself 5, 10, 15, 20 times, and it'll get done. Thank you.